All right, everybody. So the Colorado Avalanche drop another one. That's four straight losses to start the season. There are now two teams in the NHL who do not have a point: the Nashville Predators and your Colorado Avalanche. But was this the one a little bit better? Are we at that point where we're starting to pull good things out of losses, even though it's four straight? Let's talk about it. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Make sure you're following us on our social media outlets, LOPN_Avalanche on Twitter, X, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram, and Threads. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions, lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, get notified when a new show goes live, and make sure you subscribe to our subtext as well. Link to that's in the show notes below. When you do chat with Kyle and I one-on-one, we get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, which we share on this very podcast. Yeah, that's where we're at, man. Colorado Avalanche now 0-4, 0-4-0 if you want to be technical for the season. And it continues. It continues that just this start that you did not anticipate has continued now 4 games into the season. And it's funny because this was maybe the better loss that they had out of the 4. You don't want to say that. You shouldn't be saying that as an Avalanche fan. So are things kind of going in a right direction? I think really that this game was almost like 2 games in one, because the first half of this game, I was like, what am I even watching anymore? This it doesn't resemble an Avalanche team in multiple facets. Like there's injuries and guys that are out that we know. And it just, so that the makeup of the team, the roster right now is not what you're used to. There's a lot of new faces, a lot of fresh faces. And the style of play was just like, this isn't, what am I watching here? And then Matt Steinberg, of all people, throws down and things changed. That was the turning point. A guy playing in his first ever game got into a fight, and the Avs woke up and they got back in this game. They had a fighting chance at the end. They gave up another empty net goal on a puck that just goes right off Nathan MacKinnon's stick. He's carrying the puck in his own, right off his stick. Boston gets the empty netter, and that's really all she wrote. 5-3. There was bad in the beginning, and there was better. I don't want to say good, but there was better. But better is not good enough. Better will get you nowhere in this league. Hang on.
It's weird to try and analyze this team because nothing about this team looks like the Colorado Avalanche. Nathan MacKinnon was out there in 2 assists. He did not feel like Nathan MacKinnon. Cale Makar, yeah, he had his nice little goal, but his defensive positioning is weird. Like Georgiev, he actually closed out the game looking okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you didn't want this to prolong to a 4-game. You mentioned 0-4-0. 3 of those losses are at home.
Yeah.
So there goes that little advantage the Avalanche have always had. And you don't want the team to start believing that this is how it's going to be, but it just, we're shining turds here. Like, it's 4 games that they just got in their way, and it's just aloof puck chasing and bad positioning, and just there's no structure to this team, and it's shocking compared to what you've seen out of the Avalanche for the past couple of years to what has rolled out this year. It's mind-boggling.
Like I said, it got better as this game went on. And I thought that, you had like that first period was like this bend but don't break mentality of let's just get through this period. Let's get through a period where we're tied You know what I mean? Let's just not give up a lead. It didn't happen that way. They eventually did give up goals in the first. Excuse me. But a lot of credit goes to Boston because Boston was in total command of that period. And I was just thinking to myself, like, I don't see how this game gets better. They proved me wrong in that aspect because they did. They clawed back into this game and were within a goal. We'll get to like there's a couple injuries. Well, looked like multiple injuries. One was to Miles Wood. Kovalenko did come back. And there were missed calls in this game, a lot of them. I'm not going to the lengths of blaming refs for how the Avalanche are playing right now. We're not at that level. The Avalanche just they got to put together a full 60, and yesterday was 30. It was the last 30, which was good, but you got behind the 8 ball again. You gave up the goal. Ross Colton got you back in the game with the power play goal. Power play, and I have it on there on the rundown. We're going to talk about it now, whatever. The power play is the beacon of light for the Colorado Avalanche right now. Power play is rolling. They were 3 for 3. Everything else, you just don't know what you're getting. You do not know what you're getting. And there was so many moments where, and you're playing a lot of guys that are still getting acclimated to game at this level. And you had a Bruins team that is loaded, ready to go. They're fighting through some problems early in the season, but that's okay. That's where the Avalanche want to be, to fight through early season issues, but getting points in the process. Mm-hmm. Boston's been able to do that. They've won a couple, lost a couple, but that's the typical MO for teams at the beginning of the year. For the Avalanche, it's just when they make a mistake, it just gets blown up, and the other team takes advantage in the form of goals. There's bright spots here, and I'm happy about like the bright spots being the end of the game, because maybe you figured something out as a team, as a collective team, because what was going on in the beginning was more of the same from the game prior, and you're just like, what's going on here? And then a little bit of a flip, switch got flipped, and you saw something. You saw a team that was engaged. You saw a team that was fighting for it, rather than that first period was just like, this is 20 minutes of just going through the motions of just trying to get through this thing.
And the weird thing is, they started out Nathan MacKinnon with LOC and Miles Wood. That's your top line. And then you had Mikko Rantanen on the second line. So they broke up that top line to start the game. And when I saw that lineup drop, I knew it was going to be a weird, funky game. And Miles Wood, up until the point where he exited, was flying around the ice, which I haven't seen him skate like that in a long, long time. But then about midway through that first period, it was like they unplugged. And there was a shot on the broadcast from TNT where they're looking down the ice. And I'm watching just like the hustle for Boston and the hustle for Colorado. It was night and day. And I'm like, what is this team trying to... They're not trying to figure out anything. What are they even playing for? There was some weird just energy on this team right now, and it's interesting to try and figure out.
There was the one goal that Boston had. Was it in the first? Yeah, it was in the first. It was their power play goal in the first. It was Charlie Coyle, who is just, you can see it from our vantage point. You could see it happening, and I'm yelling at the screen, he's coming on the right side, and he just bolted right there. Nobody picked him up. It's things like that the Avalanche are just shooting themselves in the foot time and time and time again. You have to know there's a guy coming behind you over there. And nobody picked him up. And it was just a cross ice pass right in front of Georgiev, and that was an easy goal for them. And then you had, Brad Marchand, who's the king of, magic tricks and deception. He flopped. What was it? Was it a penalty on Mikko? Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of interference, but good Lord, Marchand sold that. and they get a penalty on that. So they score on that. And then I think 13 seconds later, after that penalty, they scored again. And those are the things that are just crushing when things like that happen right now anyway, you just like, man, like it's already a mountain to climb anyway. But now we've just given up 2 goals in 13 seconds. Yeah, we have time to do it, but up until then, they were not showing that they were capable of doing it. They almost did. They almost did. But when that happened, I'm like, this is how the Avalanche season is going right now. Marchand flops. They don't call it. They get a goal on the power play. And then right after the power play is over, they get another one. I'm like, here we go. So how long is this going to go for the Avs? We don't know. But at some point, there's got to be a tide that turns. Where are they playing? Anaheim next?
Mm-hmm.
That is a welcome opponent right now. So is Columbus. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself.
Yeah, that's we were going to talk about stuff to build on, and that's what I want to talk about is the second half of this game and where things could possibly turn that were a positive, but still the overarching thing in the first 4 games is this does not feel like the Colorado Avalanche.
Right. All right, let's get our first break in. When we come back, we will talk about those things to build on, and injury to Miles Wood. It didn't look good on the ice, so let's talk about that next. All right, we're going to hear from FanDuel. NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return over at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet over at FanDuel.com. Once again, that is America's #1 sportsbook. So, yeah, I mean, things to build on, I guess, you did, like I said, the power play was working well. You like to see the not give up mentality. This type of game happened a lot last year where the Avalanche got behind and had to battle back. And they haven't done that yet this year. I mean, they did a little bit. I think it was in that Columbus game where they kept coming back and then giving up something. But for this game, I finally started to get those feelings back of maybe they can do this. They were playing. It wasn't just like they played well for like 5 minutes and just hung around. They had sustained play, and they had some sustained offensive zone possessions where the Bruins were dog tired, and that's what you want to see. Like, you haven't seen a lot of that this year, so it's stuff like that. While it's a loss and they won it on an empty netter, that is something I can like pull out of this game. It's like, wow, with how much you're down for your offensive ability for this team. And that's a good defensive team over there. You got back into the game. What'd you have? You had how many shots on goal after 2 periods? I think it was like 11 or 12 shots on goal after 2 periods. It was 11. That's not Avalanche hockey, people. That is way too. I don't care how many guys are out right now. The way that this system works, you should be able to generate shots, and they weren't, but they eventually did.
And see, and the thing that you could really look forward to and have a little bit of hope on is midway through that game, building going forward. I think Georgiev got some confidence, and he was not the worst member of the Avalanche by far. He was probably one of the better ones. The defense right now is atrocious, abysmal, positioning, everything. The forwards are starting to find some magic. And I think this constant flux of who's in, who's out, what line you're on.
Is that you?
I think that's
where you go.
That's my
good old Colin.
Oh, he's a trip. But no, the thing about the forwards, they're learning how to, and we mentioned this, it's like the first 3 games was a lot of individual efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And now with the constant flux on what the lines look like, they're learning how to play together no matter who's on that line. Even though Middlestat lost his goal streak, like you're starting to see some synergy there. So I'm liking what the forwards, whoever they roll out there, you have just a little bit of confidence in what that looks like, because you're seeing, like, up until he got injured, Miles Wood's probably his best look I've seen so far this year. Ross Colton, he's looking great. Like, you're looking at good individual performances that you're going to start stringing together. So I feel all right about the forwards. I'm feeling better about the goalie, but I mean, good grief, with a 4-game sample size, this is the best one.
Right.
The defense is just what's really head scratching right now, and I don't know how and where and what needs fixed, because everybody's puck chasing and just out of position, and nobody's even trying. It's everybody looks completely lost and 3 plays behind.
I think a lot of this gets fixed as soon as Devon Toews returns, because Shillington is just having a rough go of it, a really tough go. He's trying. I can see that he is trying, because when he gets a puck in defensive zone, and if someone passes him the puck to start their offensive attack, he looks like he wants to jump up and he wants to get going. And then once he gets into the neutral zone and beyond, it's entertainment, because you don't know where the puck is going. You don't know where he's going. I don't know if he's just trying too hard. But it goes from just looking so good, because he's a good skater. And he just gets this momentum going. And then as soon as he's met with resistance in the form of the other team, it falls apart.
Yeah.
So I guess there was an outside chance that Toews played in this game. Obviously that didn't happen. So you'd have to feel good about when, him playing in the next one, which, you're right back to, that's your main 6 really, once he comes back. I hope that fixes a lot of problems on the defensive end. The lineup for this game was just Bednar being, the Bednar blender. He had Miles Wood, Nathan MacKinnon, Logan O'Connor on your top line, Kovalenko, Colton, Rantanen on your second line, Kiviranta, Middlestat, who's been one of their best players, on the third line. I don't think that's a demotion. I think that's just because you're playing so well. Let's split this up a little bit, get somebody who's playing well on, a bottom 6 or third line role, maybe get some juices flowing there with Callum Ritchie and Ivan, Parker Kelly, and Steinberg on the fourth line. That lasted, those top 2 lines lasted maybe 2 shifts, because I think I saw Mikko Rantanen back up with Nathan MacKinnon real quick. So I don't know if this was just to give them a different look and say, hey, this is our starting unit, and then have them look at that and be like, oh, okay, we got to kind of adjust things, and then just go right back to your normal top line. But again, this is Jared Bednar mixing and matching, and should we be doing this right now? I don't know. I say no, but who am I to tell Jared Bednar really what to do?
Yeah, I feel like that initial lineup lasted as long as it did, because Nathan MacKinnon went to the bench and said, I need Mikko back out there.
Probably. Because that's tough. Boston's good defensively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're very good defensively. So it's tough to you want to give them looks that make it a little bit of a struggle for them. The best way you do that is Mikko Rantanen and Nathan MacKinnon on the same line. And at least for one line, you give them hell. It was tough. I'm waiting till now to talk about this, but I think it needs to be talked about. I think the refs had a really tough day. Had a really, really tough day. You had the Marchand flap, which we talked about. You had there was a high stick to Parker Kelly in open ice, no less. Like he went for a hit, and he I don't remember who it was, but it was right in the neutral zone. It wasn't against the boards or anything like that. And the player comes through on Boston, hits him square in the face. No call there. There was a hand on the puck by Charlie McAvoy in the crease. That is a penalty shot, and nobody mentioned it. Nobody saw it. Refs didn't see it. Guys on TNT at the arena and in the studio didn't even talk about it. But you could see, I thought I saw it happen in real time. And then when I saw Ross Colton, he's behind the net and he's jawing with the ref. And I'm like, I got a feeling he's talking about what I saw.
Mhm.
And then they're showing the replay and he puts his hand, it's for a split second, but that's all. It doesn't matter. He puts his hand over the puck. That you can't do that. And the Avs should have gotten a penalty shot out of that. Now the two things with the two injuries, the Miles Wood one and the Kovalenko one. Kovalenko came back. The one on Kovalenko was a penalty, just flat out penalty that they just didn't call. And the one on Wood is just an accident with a seems like a brutal end result. I can't really call a penalty on that one. But he looked to be in pain, and Miles Wood is about as tough as they come. Yeah. I really am not looking forward to waking up tomorrow morning because I'm expecting bad news out of that one.
Yeah, it was a frustrating game, and it was even more frustrating because how potent the power play was and how those opportunities could have really benefited Colorado. It's just another layer. And, another little thing, they had an offsides that could have been reviewed, and Bednar did not.
Yeah. And TNT didn't give you good looks on it either.
And I was like, wow, we are really down bad if Bednar's not going to challenge this.
That, and this is, I know we're going back and forth between the good and the bad because that's how this game was. I joked about it over on Twitter, but in a way it was real. Like the shoot the puck crowd was having a field day because the way things are going for the Avalanche right now, to have good looks that you are passing up, you don't have that luxury right now. You need to get pucks on net, pucks in the goal, and mix things up. And there was a handful of extra passes that didn't need to be there. We're getting back to cute hockey for the Avalanche and pretty hockey and setting up that perfect shot and goal. Makar did it. Gerard did it. And I'm just like, you have the look. Shoot the puck on net, please. And I'm typically not that guy because I defer to them. They're on the ice. They see something that we don't see. But I don't know what they were looking at those two ones in particular. There were others where they're passing up looks, and they just should not be doing that right now.
Horrible. Yeah, and Mikko even choked up on his stick on one. It was like a cross-ice attempt, and it just whiffed. Didn't even go close. Mm-hmm. And just take the shot. Like, you go to the bench, you can look up at the scoreboard and see the shot totals and realize, hey, we really have to up this and just go for the dirty shot. Just clean up a rebound. Like, you don't just go back to basic hockey and then earn your right to be cute.
Yeah. Let's just get pucks in on net and in the net before we start going down that road. So when things are clicking and you can do anything you want and it's going your way, then start doing that. Right now, nothing's going your way. So, all right, we got a sound check and some subtext comments to get to. We'll do all of that coming up next. All right, let's hear it from Game Time and the Game Time app to get your tickets wherever you want to see some sporting events, live theater, whatever you're looking for. Game Time has got it with their new feature, Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for your favorite live event even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great sites, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Some of the other things that we love about the Game Time app, the all-in pricing. If you toggle that feature on, it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And you also get the seat views. You get panoramic views from your seat right within the app before you buy. The lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference, and Game Time ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account. Use the lockdown code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. So once again, create the account and redeem code Locked On NHL, LOCKEDON NHL for $28 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it, Kyle?
It's game time.
Check that clock. Also, we are brought to you by Prize Picks, and Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in place even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. It's the best place to get real money action, real money sports action. You can join over 10 million users and sign up today. If you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. How's it work? Well, you just pick a player that Prize Picks give you. Let's say, who do you want to throw out there, Kyle? The Broncos are playing.
Bo Nix.
You got to throw out Bo Nix. And they'll throw out a yardage, a guesstimate for him. All you do, pick more or less. And if you win, you have your streak going right then and there. Can't beat it. So Prize Picks, it's Kyle downloaded it not that long ago. How's your streak?
It's gone.
But see if you can beat Kyle. I think that's what we're going to do. Start it up and see if you can beat Kyle. I don't know. We'll just throw your name out.
Bring it.
All right. So download the app and use the code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, comments over on Subtext. We got a few over there. New Subtexter goes by the name of Cody. So there you go. I think I said this earlier in the episode. Best loss of the season. It's progress. So, but are we at that stage?
Yep.
Should we be? Are we?
Yep.
With this team, I kind of feel like I don't want to be, but with the roster that they have, I kind of am a little bit okay with it, even though I really, really don't want to be.
Yeah, this is the best of the worst.
He said, that being said, though, when it was 4-1, I started to think if it was possible that someone wrote a book on this entire team. So, I'm with him there. When it was 4-1, I was like, there is no way. So it gives me a little bit of hope there. So, Coy says, I think Georgie played better this game, so there's some hope, but we need to have a serious conversation about team defense. At least 2 of the goals should have been more difficult for Boston. Also, at what point does Bednar's seat begin to get warm? I was not impressed with his line combos tonight. And he gives a sound check. Johnny Cash's version of Hurt, of the Nine Inch Nails song Hurt.
That's not the first Bednar comment that I've heard tonight.
I am not going to go down that road at all because it's not. I fully believe Jared Bednar is the Mike Shanahan of the Colorado Avalanche, where he is going to be around for a long time unless he wants to retire, or this team just goes year after year after year of just ineptitude. But this guy has done everything that they've wanted him to do, including winning a Stanley Cup. I'm not going to entertain that conversation. On top of Gabe Landeskog not being there, Val Nichushkin not being there, Devon Taves not being there, Jonathan Drouin not being there, Arturi Lehkonen not being there. Are you kidding me? Are we going to have that conversation? And those 5 guys did not play in this game, and 4 of those guys won't play in probably 20 games.
I no longer include Gabe Landeskog in he hasn't been a part of this team for 3 years. So
2.
This
is the 3rd year.
Yeah,
this is the 3rd year.
But no, I will say I think Bednar is gripping the stick a little too tight, and he needs to let this team work it out and not roll out the lines like he did initially tonight. And I agree with you what you said a couple nights ago. Just let this team get some momentum. Like, we've figured out who works with who, and we got creative. Let this go back to the guys and let them figure it out. Yeah.
I mean, we're going to have that conversation after 4 games into a regular season. Like this, he's shown you what he can do with injuries. You know what I mean? Middle of the season slumps. This is the first time we've gone through something like this at the beginning of a season with him. So give him the opportunity to work the team out of it. Why would you think he couldn't do it? So, yeah, I just think that's a ridiculous conversation to have right now. Craig said, I had called that the Avs would lose, but I was hoping they would prove me wrong. Hoping is nothing serious with the players that had gone down. We have enough injuries as it is. Dude, this is Colorado Avalanche hockey, my man.
Mm-hmm.
The team gave more effort than they have in the previous game, so I'm happy about that. Maybe the next game will be the one for the first W. I thought the only game where you didn't see a lot of effort was the last game that they played.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think the effort's been fine.
I think
the Islanders game, I just didn't. It wasn't there. They just lost the drive. But the other ones, I thought it was there. It was the goalie issues and defensive lapses.
I think this third period was probably better than all 3 games that they've had.
It was, and I don't know if anybody saw if you turned it off after Boston got that empty netter. TNT put up a graphic. It's just all the bad things going on for the Avalanche. The goals that they've given up. They've only led for 4 minutes and change in total. They've given up an empty net goal in every single game. There was a couple other things on there. It's just, I think that's enough. I don't need to list all of them. But yeah, when you're 0-4, there's not going to be a lot of good graphics that you can put up on your team. And that's just where the Avs are right now. Last thing that we're going to get to, that is our Locked On Avalanche sound check. And this is something we've been doing for a few years now. Kyle and I pick one song that best summarizes the most recent game. We put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can find by going to LOA Soundcheck. This one's volume number 4. So what do you got for this one, sir?
This was in Ball Arena, so I figured this would be apropos. Blink 182.
Okay.
Off the California album, Bored to Death.
Love that song.
It's such a good song.
Love that song.
And no, that's honestly, when you're sitting here watching Avalanche games, you are literally the team is bored to death. We are bored to death. And it's that meme of like you're poking it with a stick saying do something.
Mm-hmm.
Like this team is just boring.
I don't like it's weird because I don't want to go down the road of boring. It's just different. It's just and that's look at the lineup. We're all hoping like these new guys. We're so excited for these new guys to be here, young guys, and you know it's they'll either do something or they don't.
You know,
and you're getting some good spot. Like I think Kovalenko is awesome. I love watching that guy play. Callum Ritchie, you're seeing what you're getting with a guy who's at the beginning stages of his career. Now Kovalenko is as well, but Ritchie, I didn't see him at all in this game. This is following up where he finally got his first goal. He was a non-factor in this game. Didn't really do a lot. Ivan, same thing. So you wanted those guys to hit the ground running and help you win games. I'm not saying they're helping you lose games, but you're getting what you typically get with young players, and the Avs have a handful of them right now.
Well, see, and just like to real quickly follow that up, like I understand the new guys and the flux in the roster, but Utah is doing the exact same thing to much greater success without the advantage of a Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, or a Mikko Rantanen. They have a bunch of new guys, fresh faces that believe in what they're doing, and they're outperforming, and they are making it. They're figuring it out by playing basic level hockey, and that's just the difference. The Avalanche need to figure out how to play hockey together as a team.
Either way, I like that song. So it's a good one. I'm going with one of the best Canadian bands there ever was. and that's the Tragically Hip.
Mm.
And the name of the song is Now the Struggle Has a Name. And that name is the Colorado Avalanche, because it is a struggle right now. So, yeah, pretty cut and dry for me and my sound check. So that's where we're at. Don't have anything else to say.
Bring on the Ducks.
When is that? Is that
Friday.
Saturday? It's Friday?
Friday.
In Ball, right?
I believe this is.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that is Friday. Yep, that's in Ball, and then the one after that is on the road in San Jose. There, come on, guys. You're playing two of the teams that are expected to finish at the bottom of the standings. You have to get those 2 wins.
Preseason's over, baby.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. So, all right, that is going to wrap it up for today. So, thank you everybody for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. And hey, you just made it through another day. Sidney Crosby is closer to being in an Avalanche sweater.